All right, we're back and we've been doing stuff and it's gotten colder. So what do you say we button this engine up? I don't think I'm going to put the cap on, the valve cover on this one, but what I want to do is put the cover on here for our stator cover. Some things have happened off camera. One of them, I punched out the seal for the Kickstarter shaft, and two, I have gone through and did thread lock on the magneto, and I've also off to the side put some grease on the O-ring for the starter. So one thing I want to start off with before we get too far into this is I want to install this idler for the starter. You'll see that there's a snap ring over here on the bottom side and a washer. It goes right here. And there's a washer that goes on top. That seat's right here. And I've cleaned this up a little bit. There was one little spot on the stator cover. Both of our dowel pins seem pretty stubborn where they're at, so I left them in place. I like to locate the gasket with the dowel pin so it stays put. So what I'm going to do, as careful as I possibly can, go over here and install the stator cover. Oh, it touched. It touched again. It's a little grumpy. Okay. No harm in that. Probably because I had it put in the wrong position. My bad. I'm trying to film. I'm my own cameraman. Give me a break. Oh, magnetic. All right, sorry about that, folks. We touched. We made contact. Okay. So rotate this into position. I'm going to go back and double check our gasket surfaces here, and I'm going to make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing here. Bingo. I did a little adjustment over here of our gasket to make sure it was getting squeezed and it's seated. And now what I'm going to do is get into my bag of goodies. I'm going to affix all of the bolts to secure the stator cover. So I'm going to place them into place and then I'll check back with you. Alright, I'm back, and I just wanted to take a moment and make sure everybody gets this right, because, you know, again, this engine's been apart for a while. There's this short dowel here, and it goes in here for the idler. So I want to make sure that that's in place. I'm placing that in place. And I'm just going through and make sure that all of my bases are covered here, and I was doing that, and then also had to make a point that there's this washer that goes here. There's a washer that goes on the other side of this. There's no real reason for you to take this off, but I was going through and checking these things, and I was like, you know what, I probably ought to just go through and share that with you and install these screws, because I think that would have a certain value for you. Okay. Leaving the level 6 bosses in place there. And I'm just going through and locating these. And I know this is probably overkill and a bunch redundancy. Oh, that one's too long. That one takes a shorter one, I think. If you recall, this one takes the case No, it's one of these two. I think it's this one here that has a little piece of hardware on it. That's not a part of this build because we're going to use the one that's on the engine at the time. I blew it. Why'd you let me do that, guys? Okay. That takes a little bit longer one. And I'm pretty sure this piece, I think it goes here because there's one on the outside that accounts for the sensor that comes up from here. Why does it do that? Well, we want to try to keep that sensor out of harm's way. And what is the harm that's in the way? It's the countershaft sprocket. But yeah, a lot of people make mistakes on leaving out the washers out of their strategic places here. See, don't lose the bosses here. I'm trying to get to my, good grief, trying to get to my 8mm here. I think I may have set it down somewhere. Anyway, I wanted to talk about that real quick before we moved on. Yeah, it appears, oh, is that? That's another 10mm. Man, I hit the jackpot. I got two 10mm here. Wow. Anyway, guys, is it on here? No. Alright. I'm going to go get my 8mm and I'm going to run these things in with the wrench, with this thing. Alright, we just located our dowel pin over here. At this time, I'm not sure if that recorded or not, but we got our dowel pin in this place. We got our washers on that, on our starter clutch mechanism over here. By no means ever should you take this thing apart. If you do, you're going to have a real bad time. And if you have a real bad time, you earned it because I told you not to do it and you did it anyway. Okay. Now, this thing can be a bit annoying. So I'm going to go over through my messy garage here. It's messy. It's messy. Pay no attention to the mess. I'm going to go over here to my grease. And I've got an O-ring here. I got an O-ring that'll work for this, and I got some with the kit. but I don't want to use them. This one's not dried out or in a bad shape. So I'm putting some grease on it. Again, my washer's in place. I got a washer on this back side. Sometimes you got to move some gears on these to get them to mesh. Kind of a chaotic run sometimes. I think I've been known to do this as well. Tell you what I'm going to do real quick since I have the time. Give it a little squirt. For medicinal purposes. I'm not going to reach through here since I haven't installed the starter yet. And I'm running a camera, so it's got to become the most difficult operation ever. My washer just come off. That's not how I want to do that. Oh. Something so simple can be such a pain. Alright, I'm going to get this in place and then I'll get back with you. All right, I got this into place, and it was kind of a pain, but you know, it's the stage of things at this point. And I'm putting these level 5 Boss JIS screws into place. And I think I'm going to call it a night, and we'll put the clutch side case cover on, and I'm going to put the cap on this thing as well, I think. But we'll check our timing. We'll double check our timing. I've already put it at top dead center here. And much to my dismay, I'm going to give these just a little bit of a tap and a crank here. Let's see if you can see that. I'm not getting too serious. These things will settle their way into Boss level, and I don't want Link to have to mess with it when he puts his whatever kind of bedazzled cover that he puts on there. I told him he's forbidden. Oh, put a scratch in it. Oh my gosh, it must be getting late or something. There we go. That'll buff out. Anyway, we'll get to this point. We're going to double check our timing tomorrow, and I'm going to put that in this video, but that's it for tonight.